Hey, what's up, developers out there? Today, I'm here with a Ask Me Anything. We put out a post on the Facebook group, what would you like to know from a senior Amazon engineer? And we had a few people ask some questions, and we're going to go over those questions right now. The first one is, why are you the way you are? I'm pretty sure that was a meme question, given that he also copied and pasted a picture from The Office, but it's a question. We're going to answer that. And I think it boils down to the old psychological versus biological debate of nature versus nurture. You know, you're born with your brain in a certain composition, and then that attributes to IQ, and your IQ could be this thing, your IQ could be this thing. You can have different interests in doing certain things like playing video games versus painting trees. I was more of a video game kind of nerd, but you know, that's just me. And, well, a lot of other people too, but some people also like painting, some people like playing music, some people like running around in the backyard. You know, that's just biology and life, and, you know, people doing things. And then ultimately you get to a point where your brain evolves to a certain place after puberty where, you know, your frontal cortex fully develops, and you're able to have higher level concrete thoughts. And, you know, one of those thoughts should be to take accountability over why you are the way you are. You know, you decide your interest, you set goals for yourself, you want to accomplish dreams and things of such nature. And, you know, I saw a lot of my friends and family were facing various hardships, and I just didn't want to go through those things, you know, such as, well, drugs was a big one, you know, so I actively chose to stay away from that and instead set goals to be highly successful. You know, you could hold yourself small and think you just want to be a little successful, but, you know, I dream big, and there was a lot of hurdles along the way, a lot of setbacks. You know, I thought I wanted to be a doctor, ended up dropping out of college because I decided that wasn't right. I lost some scholarships, tried playing poker. That was really tough. And then eventually went back to school in engineering because it was what I was good at. You know, I was always, highly apt in engineering, mathematics, logic, and things of that sort. So, you know, you just gotta decide what fits in with your certain set of skills, create goals around that, chase career paths that interest you, and ultimately you end up becoming the person you are. And then that person is constantly evolving. I once read a quote, I don't know if it was Bill Gates or someone else, but they said if you can't look back on yourself 5 years ago and recognize who that person is, or you're not a vastly better person that has achieved more than the person from 5 years ago, then you need to push yourself a little harder. You know, you should be unrecognizable. Like, people often overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year, but underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years. That was Bill Gates. So constantly set goals, and, you know, now I'm to a place where I've achieved a lot of things that I want to do, so I am also a helpful, caring person, or I like to think I am, that wants to help people out there to get to where I am, but earlier in their life than when I've achieved it. So I do that through creating these videos like this. You know, I'm not always comfortable on camera, but, you know, I try to do it to help people out, and hopefully you guys learn stuff from these kind of videos. The second question, how do you get good at coding questions? Like the word type problems that they ask you in coding interviews and on LeetCode and HackerRank and all that thing. I never, growing up or starting my career like 10 years ago when I started college, HackerRank and LeetCode platforms like that weren't really popular. So I wasn't really aware of those things. There was like Project Euler. I did a couple problems on that during college, but mostly it was just college projects. And then that gave me the experience to get a job after college. And then I worked at that job for 1.5 years, created some cool projects where you could just use an eye scan to get money out of an ATM. That was pretty cool. We got a patent on that. And then I got an interview offer at Amazon at about the same time that I was also applying for my grad school, which I got accepted in. And during that interview, I ultimately failed. They asked me to reverse a linked list, and I did an okay job at it, but it wasn't great. And then they also asked me to explain what happens when you turn on a computer. I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say this or not, but it was more of like a hardware type job, and I'm not very interested in hardware. So because of that, I kind of like stumbled through that answer. But apparently I did good enough that they gave me another interview 6 months later for a different position. But after failing the first interview and then getting a chance to interview for the second one, I took that a lot seriously. A lot more seriously. And I picked up this book, Cracking the Coding Interview. And even though this is a big old book, I probably worked through maybe half the problems, read through the entire front section on what the coding interview looks like, what kind of questions to ask, how to talk about runtime analysis, how to communicate your answers to the behavior questions using the STAR format, which is you explain the situation, the task, the action, the result. And as you can see, that one went a lot better because I've been at Amazon for 5.5 years, 6.5 years. And that is actually a different topic on why I've been there so long when a lot of people kind of turn over. And I'll probably make a video on that. So please subscribe if you want to, see why I've been at Amazon for as long as I have. Yeah. And then the third question is, how much do I make in monthly salary? Half of my salary is attributed to things called restricted stock units. So because of that, my salary generally fluctuates. But on average, it's between $25,000 and $26,000 a month, which may sound like a lot, but one, I live on the East Coast, so cost of living is very high in the East Coast of the United States. Rents can be anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000, and that's just a range. And then insurance out here is kind of high, food, medical, all that other stuff. It all ends up adding up. Maybe I'll make a video breaking down my expenses. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that. Also, aside from my monthly salary, I have other income streams. I have a rental house in Ohio. I have stock dividends. I have stocks. Stocks right now are in a very bad place, and it makes me look sad every time I open up Robinhood, but maybe one day, 2 years from now, it'll start to go in the other direction. It would be nice if it was sooner, but sometimes you gotta be a realist and, hold yourself accountable, because I'm the one that put money in there. So every time I look at it going down, it's whatever. I'm also doing things to build other sources of income. I'm working on a project to create a short-term rental Airbnb. My wife and I are looking at land. We're looking at the process required to build an A-frame and list it on Airbnb, going through the calculations to figure out how much cash flow it'll provide. So always stay moving, always stay pushing yourself, always create those goals where you're getting, daily compound gains to ultimately be better than you were last year or even yesterday. And then the fourth, I don't know if you guys want to go into much detail about that. If you have any other questions about, salary and finances, let me know. I do have another channel, and I could start being more active in that if, people are interested. And then the fourth and final question, there's a lot of stuff in it, and I'll probably cover that in a different video, maybe with Marcus and the person that asked it. We'll see if that ends up happening tomorrow. But if not, the gist of it was, how do you improve your resume, or CV as they call it in Europe, to get a tech position if you don't have a formal tech degree? Given that I do have a bachelor's in computer science engineering, it's kind of hard for me to answer that, but in short, build projects that interest you. I could say, learn data science, learn machine learning, learn how to make a model in PyTorch that can predict the housing prices in Arlington, Virginia. If that's what you're interested in, you should do that. Or, make a web application that simulates what Twitter would do, that has a feed and friends, and you can log in and one friend can follow the other friend, and you can follow them back, and you have, you know, a MySQL database in the back end with the join tables. You can create projects using serverless architecture like AWS, Lambdas, using message queues, sequencing the things together via like a serverless distributed sequencer with step functions, and that's all good things to learn. Different positions require different things. Ultimately, look at the positions that you're interested in. They'll generally list out the requirements. If the requirement is extensive knowledge in data structures and algorithms, problem solving, making extensible code, leading teams that are across different time zones and countries, saying just to go learn Python Pandas library, that's not going to be enough to get you a job. If you really want to get like a job that I have, or even you know, just a software engineering job in general, it's going to take more than knowing a couple libraries in Python. That might be enough to start a listing on Fiverr for being a Python tutor. And if you want to do that, make sure you always have 2 or 3 levels of knowledge above the person that you're trying to teach, so that you can confidently help them because they are paying you. So that's one thing you can do with a small amount of Python knowledge. But ultimately, to improve your resume, continually learn. Be a passionate and addicted learner. Create projects. Understand those projects well enough that when you get interviews, that you can talk about those projects, why you built them, what was the things you learned, why you were passionate about them, and if the tutorial said build a calculator, why you built a full calculator, and then you figured out how to integrate a voice speech recognizer in it to actually do the calculation using your voice, and then you learned how to add a graphical user interface on tkinter using tkinter library on top of that. So what a lot of companies are looking for is that you go above and beyond like basic requirements. A lot of people can just go through a simple calculator tutorial, but what companies are really interested in are those people that, you know, love learning, love being able to take customer requirements and deliver software solutions that exceed the expectations of those customers. And if you can show examples of you doing that on a resume, then you're definitely going to get some a lot of interviews, hopefully a lot of offers. And if you guys have any other questions that you want to know, leave something in the comments. I started a Discord community. I'm going to put that link in the description. You can check me out there and sync up with other developers that are passionate about learning. And I hope this was helpful. Thanks, guys. Bye.